The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Park Place Lanes here in Windham, and another edition of Stars and Strikes Doubles, week 2 of our 4-week series in the men's doubles format as we work our way towards getting another qualifying team in our Stars and Strikes Doubles Tournament of Champions coming up in the spring. Happy New Year to you and yours. Hope it was a very safe one. How about for you?
Well, it's pretty safe. I'm still here, so yeah, we got another exciting one on the books tonight. Last week, of course. Brian and Bob, a fantastic 400 triple, and I think they're going to need all of that this week with these two guys.
All right, let's meet all our bowlers. Dan talked about Brian and Bob. They were the story last week. Our number 5 seeded team, they got the win last week. Bob Buxton from Merrimack, Massachusetts, and his partner from Nashua, New Hampshire, Brian McKinley.
Okay, and Brian comes in averaging 121, 650 for roll-off score. Bob Buxton 125 and 655 for his roll-off score.
And our 3rd seeded team will be their opponents today. 3rd seeded by virtue of their total roll-off scores. Again, the bowlers compete individually, and then the scores are added up. And here's how our number 3 team stacks up. From Warren, Massachusetts, Phil Clough, and his partner from Natick, Massachusetts, Tom O'Brien.
Okay, Phil comes in averaging 114, a little deceiving, that average. His roll-off score, 672. Tom O'Brien, 127 for an average and 647 for a roll-off score.
Of course, the runner-up team in this week's show will share 4th place prize money of $200 and also receive the plaques from the N&R Trophy Company of Winchendon. The winning team will move on to try and get up to the top of the ladder and perhaps qualify for that Stars and Strikes Doubles Tournament of Champions. We're going to get this match started. 3 strings of Scotch doubles bowling right after this timeout. Don't go away. All right, here's where we are. Bob Buxton and Brian McKinley with a 408 last week to knock off our 4th-seeded team of Dennis Pruscia and John Maffio. So Bob and Brian this week will take a shot at that number 3-seeded team, Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien, the winners to move on. Mike O'Brien and Ron Root next week. And in 2 weeks, Dan Broder and... No relation. That's right, no relation to Mike O'Brien, Tom wants to point out. And... in 2 weeks' time, it'll be Dan Broder and Peter Pereira to try and defend that number 1 spot. But right now, Brian McKinley to start this match. Last week, he started strike, spare. That was just an indicator of what was to come. This time, missing to the left.
Almost converted for a spare. They're really going to have to go to top their performance last week. Bowled very, very well as a team.
$10.
Covers that 6-pin with no problem. Spare up in the 2nd. First look this week, anyways, at Tom O'Brien.
Tom's kind of approaching being a regular. Been here quite a bit lately. Here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. In the last series, in fact, he was teamed with Paul Willits. They won 1 match before being eliminated. And on the doubles series prior to that, back in November, Tom was paired with Glenn LeBlanc, and they won 2 matches before being eliminated in the championship match against Mike Morrill and Jack Quinn. So this is the 3rd doubles series in a row that Tom has qualified for.
Oh boy. In the pocket, he thought he was going to carry the 5-pin. The 5-pin just walked off the spot a little bit. Still has the 5 and the 10 left. And a piece of wood next to the 5-pin and another one out in front. Probably going to try to pinch the 5-pin on the left and have it jump into the 10. He's trying to do.
And it's an 8. So 17 for the team to start. Now Bob Buxton. The teams, by the way, decide who will begin the match. And they must keep that rotation through the first 2 games, so that after 2 games, each bowler has rolled 10 frames. And then at the beginning of the 3rd game, the teams can change the order if they want, according to maybe trying to take advantage of a hot bowler, or if somebody feels more comfortable or whatever. We've seen that happen several times already.
I think we should change it even more, and they could pick somebody out of the crowd to bowl the last ball.
But only if it's meaningful, right?
So a little bit of strategy there involved that 3rd game. If somebody's going much better than his partner, then they'll elect to have him bowl the extra 2 frames by starting him off in that 3rd game.
Bob Buxton and Brian McKinley, teammates now, but back in February they bowled against each other on Stars and Strikes on our singles format. It's an outstanding match too. Brian won it 4-12 to 4-10. And Brian had to come from 14 pins down in the 3rd game to win it. He threw a 154 in the 3rd game to win that match by 2. .45 for the team through 4.
First look at Phil Clough. As I mentioned last time he was on, he has quite a ride to get not only to the rollouts, but for the taping sessions.
Phil is from Warren, Mass, way out in the western part of the state. He was here back in November, paired with Bob Mazer. And in their first match, Phil and Bob threw a 434. And who did they beat? Bob Buxton and Reggie DeLine. They then lost the next match to Tom O'Brien and Glenn LeBlanc. So Phil and Tom bowled against each other back in November, and now they are partners on the same team.
It's a small world. Warren, Mass. That's my old stomping grounds. I grew up in Palmer, Mass, which is just a few miles away from Warren. Oh, great 10.
Pretty shot by Phil. Only a 10, but worth another look. That's how it's done.
Just cuts that 2-pin into the 6-10.
Well, now that we're into January, Dan, it's time for us to talk about taping sessions again so that we can remind folks their chance to see Stars and Strikes, both programs in person, and of course also our chance to ensure a fine lunch.
That's right, that's right.
We got a very nice Christmas card from the Reverend Charlie and Dolly Hood in Beverly, old friends of mine from years ago on the North Shore, and they arrived here one day in a taping session last year with just a terrific lunch for us, and we enjoyed it a lot. And we were kind of wondering whether they were going to come back again.
Not to bring us lunch, but just to watch the taping. I don't think we're going across very well here, Doug. I think we're digging ourselves a deep hole. Yes, we enjoyed the lunch, and you can come back again.
And we'd love to see you. That's right. And if you'd like to come to a taping session, you don't have to bring us food or any other bribes. But please feel free to come down. We tape here at Park Place Lanes in Windham, New Hampshire on Route 28, not far from Route 93, off Exit 3. And we've got a couple of taping sessions coming up this month. As you take a look at Tom O'Brien back on lane 32 after the spare by Brian McKinley. We've got a Sunday taping next Sunday, January 12th, Again, starting at about 9:30 in the morning and going till 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. We'll be taping men's singles on Sunday, January 12th. And on Tuesday, the 21st of January, we'll be taping women's doubles. That'll be our next series here on Stars and Strikes Doubles. We'll have a 4-week series of women's doubles. First time we've ever had it. And Tom O'Brien matches the spare in the 6th with a strike of his own.
Looked like he was going to have a 7-pin drop with a 2, 4, and 7 left, but 4 kicks out, and with it goes the 2 and also the 7 for the strike.
In fact, I think in general, Dan and I would agree that the last thing you should do is bring us food.
That's true, especially after the holidays.
But just to review that, it's Sunday, January 12th, we'll be taping men's singles, and Tuesday, January 21st, we'll be taping women's doubles. And Bob Buxton slips into the channel. That is a 9-box. That's a 9-box. So it's a 9 fill. And then 9 more in the 7th.
Right back, though. It's going to fall this way. He's going to get the strike, but not quite. Just be very careful here. Wood's out in front. He can get by the front piece.
Ooh,
Yeah, he was
you
trying
got
to
by
get-
it all right.
Yeah. He's trying to just slip by and either catch the 5 or the wood behind the 5.
We did, as I mentioned last week, get a number of nice Christmas cards and New Year's greetings, in addition to the one sent by Charlie and Dolly Hood out in Beverly, and we can't acknowledge all of them, but we certainly do appreciate those of you who took the time to drop us a card. And if you'd like to drop us just a letter or a line and ask a question about the show or have a comment, we'll give you the address to write to just a little bit later on. The lead is 9 for Buxton and McKinley. Not quite as fiery a start as last week.
No, not at all.
Well, Phil is going to shoot at the 1, 3, 7, 9, and 10 with some pretty favorable looking wood all over the deck. Let's see. And the ball comes by again.
Everything was favorable except for carrying that 7-pin. Did everything but knock it down. Pins were flying around it. The ball was flying around it.
The lead remains 9. Brian McKinley, the newlywed, leaving the 4-pin.
When do you stop being a newlywed? Is there a timetable? A year?
It was a year, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say a year.
I suppose for some people 2 days, but that's a rule. It's 3 days.
I think it all depends on your mental approach to it, I suppose. Brian with a spare up in the 9th.
We'll get some letters now.
Yeah.
Address them to Doug Brown.
Yeah. Brian and his wife Debbie were married in September.
Seven on the spare. 6, 7, 10. Gonna try to snap that wood.
Nope.
Not quite.
Again, a troublesome 7-pin. So they'll be in the teens for this first game, 1-18 to be exact. And that leaves room for Tom O'Brien here to get a dent in this lead or maybe wipe it out. He gets a couple of marks up on the board. Well,
Watch out, coming back.
strike it is. Second strike for the team. They've yet to get a spare.
See, just enough momentum off the 9-pin, and then it comes rolling forward to trip the 3-pin.
Pretty good hit again.
This time you'll have the 3, 6, 10 to convert for a spare.
Let's see, yes.
And a chance to take over the lead.
112 with a box to come, or rather a ball to come.
6 pins will knot us up. Anything over 6 will give the lead to Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien.
Little high, but he got away with it. It's a 9 drop, and the team of Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien do in fact take the lead in the last box for the first time in the match. They lead by 3 at the end of 1. Game 2 coming right up. With that late charge at the end of game 1 by Tom O'Brien, the team of Clough and O'Brien have taken the lead by 3.
Triangle 2, 4, 5 for Phil. Piece of wood in between should help him. Not on that side though.
Ooh.
On that side, the ball came in contact with that piece of wood and actually hurt him because it wasn't able to carry through for the 5 pin. Deflected away.
Phil has somewhat of an unusual delivery. He reaches way out at the end.
It's good follow through. Doesn't throw the ball hard.
Nope. It actually, his delivery really is not so much unusual as it just emphasizes the follow through.
Let's try to drive this piece of wood straight back.
Yes.
He does just that. Good shot. Much more difficult than it looked.
Bob Buxton spins it right through the middle for the spread eagle.
As you mentioned last week, he does get the ball right out on the lane, just this side of the lob line.
Boy, that 10 pin jumped.
Up in the, I saw that. I didn't want to say anything because maybe I was just seeing things.
It gives you an idea of the impact when that ball hits the pins. 8 box for Bob. A reminder that our presenting sponsor here on Stars and Strikes Doubles, as always, the folks at Tri-State Megabucks, and we do so much appreciate their support of Candlepin Bowling and Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Everything but the 9 pin for Bob.
That'd be a nice way to start the new year. Win the Megabucks.
Oh boy. Well, let me see. You may not see me on the next tape date if that happened. No, I would still come. I would even buy you lunch, Doug. A place with those yellow arches. You can have anything you want.
Tri-State Megabucks. Give it a try. Just imagine being rich.
Bob has to wait a long time for the wood to settle down.
Yes.
Covers it.
Boy, he lofted that ball way out there to it. It appeared to just hit the lob line.
Very close.
Gets a lot of speed.
Well, Tom O'Brien working on a spare. Tom was kidding me that I owed him lunch for some reason. I don't even remember. Was it a friendly wager or something? I don't even remember.
Oh, how about that shot?
Wow, off the wall.
You give him a lunch for that shot. Even Tom is applauding.
Yeah. Watch this. Off the wall. Here we come.
Well, Tom told me that that he said to you at the end of the last doubles series when he was eliminated that he would be back again this time for his 3rd straight time. And you told him you didn't think he could do it. At least that's what he said.
I don't. I would never say that. I got to talk to him because he's referring to me as the old man. I guess he thinks I've given the game up. I don't know. He's quite a character. A lot of fun.
Oh, and Brian McKinley fills a spare with 2.
One of the first mistakes that Brian has made in the 2 weeks. He may have gone through the middle on another spare. I can't remember missing. No, he probably has, but certainly his ball well the last 2 weeks. So the lead now blossoms to 20 for Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien. Yeah,
Oh, and another one. Same spot. Brian finished 6th in the roll-off, and thus was paired with the number 5 finisher, Bob Buxton. They were only 5 pins apart in the roll-off. 9 for Brian. And there you see it. There you see it. Spare up for the team of Clough and O'Brien. They're working on 3 in a row, in fact, and they've got the lead just about at the halfway point. Stars and Strikes doubles rolls on in a minute.
Phil's going to try to keep this string of 3 marks going. Spares in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. And on top of that, going to add to the 21-pin lead.
7 Phil, maybe more. Well, the wood will turn anyway.
Really turned that ball over. That ball broke about 1.5 feet by the time it got to the pins.
Not quite enough. It seems that when Phil misses more often than not, it's to the right because he has to really cross that ball across the alley.
If you pick something up, and this is it's a good pointer for a lot of the bowlers to check your follow through. If you throw the ball and your arm comes across your body, that usually means that you release the ball too soon, and now you're fighting to get it back. Where you follow through and the arm is out in front of you, you know your release is pretty close to being right. And a couple times when Phil missed to the right, he did come across his body with his follow through.
Right on that spare.
So 4 marks out of 6 boxes in this game, as you can see. 79 through 6, plus the bonus ball coming.
Bob Buxton trying to ignite something for his team. Again, a little bit full. Ooh, just missed that 3-pin, trying to slide it over. And it'll be a $9.
The lead now is 27. Most of it in this game. 24-pin lead in this game, 27 overall.
Yeah, those 3 spares in a row really racked it up.
It's a chance for Bob to pick up a mark, the 4 and the 7. Oh boy.
Picked it right off.
I hate when that happens. Boy, you think you know the object pin is the 4. If you miss the 4, your chances of making it are just about nil. You hit the object pin, you drive it straight back. 1/4 of an inch either way, you have the spare.
Tom O'Brien now, tall left-hander, will work on the spare left by his partner Phil Clough, and he fills it with, we'll have to wait, an 8.
We're going to do some flying here with this wood. It's going to go practically right at the 7-pin and hopefully get some sidewall action for the 10.
Well, he knocked 8 pins down and left 4 of them on the plate.
Looks like he needs a slide ruler up there. He's checking the wind, and let me see if somebody opens the back door. This time I throw the ball, I have to hit it here.
I don't think he wanted to hit it there.
Check the slide rule if he plays it there.
I don't think that's where he wanted to play it. That was it. Yeah. For a $10.
Although he just conked him, just kind of hit himself in the head like he was a little mad at it went so easily over there. So I tend to think he was trying to go with the right-hand tip of that wood out in front. 1, 2, 4, and 9 pins left.
Nope.
Well, 2 open frames for Brian McKinley to work on.
Another $10. So Brian steps up, takes a peek at the scoreboard. That's what he sees. Team trailing by 35. They're certainly capable of making that up. And there is a 9 drop to start it.
Looked like everything was moving towards a 7-pin, but it stays up. Well, he's going to have a clear shot, it looks like, anyways. And that wood settles down.
May just have to wait a little while, which is going to be a little disturbing.
It's getting into that crucial area where it's going to be a problem. Yeah, the weight is, I'd never like to wait up there. You're supposed to wait till the wood settles down, and it's always a tough thing to do.
He's right at it, though.
No problem there. Mark in the 7th.
5th mark for the team. Big difference between this week and last week, though, for Buxton and McKinley. No strikes yet, and they've been unable to put marks together.
It seemed last week when they threw a strike, they had a spare on one side or the other of it as well, which really, well, they'd have to with the 400 triple. 7 on the spare. 3, 6, and 10 left.
No, he missed it. That would have been a big spare right there. Could have taken another 7, 8 pins off the lead, perhaps. Instead, he loses a pin with the 9, so the lead is 29.
Final 2 frames for Phil Clough.
And how about that? Solid 9 drop. He leaves the 10.
Now, with his ball breaking so sharp from right to left, this is tough. He's going to use a little more speed to straighten the ball out. Just catches it.
Played it just right.
117, as you can see, in the 9th. Bonus ball to come. Brooklyn side. Wait a minute, it's got some help coming.
Phil and his wife Diane live in Warren, Mass, as we mentioned. They have 3 children, Eric, Quentin, and Deanna. And there is back-to-back spares.
So 132 and a ball to come.
Phil works as a designer at Warren Pumps. He does a lot of his bowling at the State Bowl in Springfield. And he drops 7 more for a 139 middle game. 260 after 2 for the team of Clough and O'Brien. And Bob Buxton needs 2 marks in these last frames just to keep things under 30.
Boy. Right through the middle.
Wow, gave it a run.
Pretty good. Split the 3 and the 6, was able to grab the 7, but nothing came forward for the 2 or the 4.
Bob is off the head pin that time, but at least he has something to shoot at here. The 1, 2, 4.
1, 2, 4 is, and also a piece of wood in between the 1 and the 2.
Well, that's a help because obviously Bob Buxton and Brian McKinley don't want to leave themselves too much work for game 3 here. And they're going to have some catching up to do as it is.
36 pins is the lead now. Matching at least 7 will keep it there. He's going to gain 1, so it's still coming.
Falling the other way, he might have gotten them all. He'll take 9, a 108, and a 2-string total 226. So the lead will be 34 for Clough and O'Brien going into game 3. And we'll have it here on Stars and Strikes coming right up. First. Back to go with game 3. It'll be Brian McKinley leading it off for his team, and there you see their dilemma.
Well, they're going to have to go back in the pages of last week and start throwing some of those strikes that they were throwing.
Man, there's a spare. That is not an easy shot, especially when you have to have marks.
And he plays it on the left-hand side. So actually the 3-pin did most of the damage on the 9 and the 10. the way he wanted to start. Now he wants the big fill and another one. Well, the ball looked like it should have been a little better than that. But he leaves himself a 6-pin fill on the spare, but more important, a tough spare leave. 6, 8, 9, 10.
One of the letters that we got over the holidays, Dan talked about, or asked, I should say, about the status of Peter Flynn. And for those of you who are not aware, Peter was taken seriously ill back about 2 months ago. But we're happy to report that he is doing quite well and recovering. Actually has been bowling, we understand, and is not through the crisis yet. He's got an operation scheduled for later next month, but he is getting better, and I'm sure he appreciates all the well wishes that he has been receiving.
Absolutely. He's a tough competitor, so I'm sure he's going to pull through this. Well, the lead has been reduced to 28 by virtue of that spare 6 in the first frame.
Oh, Tom got a big break there. A big break. Looked like he was going to have a 6 drop with a split to shoot at, and instead he's got something a little more friendly, although he may have to be a little cautious of this wood.
He's got to play it high.
There it was.
He had to turn around and ask Phil about playing it high. Now, Phil has got a few years on him, so he had to ask the older gentleman how to play the shot.
Yes,
the veteran, yeah. I'll have to remind him of that. 4 horsemen right. 1, 3, 6, 10. Outside.
Yes.
Got it.
They've made 2 very tough spares here in the first 3 boxes. That shot made a little tougher by playing it outside. I think it's probably made a tougher shot by playing it on the outside, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Usually you want to try to split, in his case, the 1 and the 3. Nice 9-pin drop on the spare.
And he can play the wood if he'd like. And he does for back-to-back marks. That'll put a little bit of heat on Phil Clough now as he comes up to fill the spare left by Tom, and he's a little short, and it'll be a deuce on the fill. Now, you said at the beginning of the show, Dan, that Phil's average of 114 is deceiving. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes. Of course, as I mentioned, I originally from the western part of Massachusetts, and I've bowled a number of different houses in Massachusetts, and I think Phil bowls most of his bowling at the State Bowl, which is in Springfield, which is traditionally tough house. Extremely tough. So that 114 average probably is a 122 or 23 or 25 a lot of other places.
Phil trying to solve the triangle and goes right through the center.
Hit the object pin.
Well,
all of a sudden, yeah.
This is going to change things around a little bit here. As we head to the break, a 9-box for Phil. The lead has been cut to 19. And of course, when we come back, Brian McKinley will be filling that mark. So this is going to get interesting here in Game 3. Don't go away. The finish coming up. You're looking at Brian McKinley. And he's working on a very important spare.
Pulled it to the left.
Just 3.
So both teams have made mistakes coming down the stretch in the third game.
The lead is down to 16. But now with that open in the 5th, team of Buxton and McKinley with just 5 to go.
He wants to come right back with another one. He's going to have to shoot at the diamond.
Piece of wood sliding right through there.
3, 5, 6, and the 9-pin in the back, which is usually the problem. There it is.
Just as you said. So 2 opens, and Tom O'Brien steps up. Tom from Natick, Mass. He's the president and CEO of Venture Enterprises, a wholesale merchandise company. And he's going to have a spare leave. Tom does most of his bowling at the Fairway Sports World in Natick and at the Sudbury Bowl in Sudbury.
He's looking at the 610. Nice piece of wood laying out in front of the 610.
Ooh, okay.
It's free. You can use it. And he used all of it.
The 11th mark for the team. An 8 fill. That puts the lead back up to 26.
This will really set the stage if he can pick this one up. As it stands, Buxton and McKinley are going to have to almost mark out, or at least have 3 out of the 4 boxes.
All right, we're down to this. The last turn for each of the 4 bowlers, starting with Bob Buxton, and there's the situation. The team of Buxton and McKinley trailing by 25. Looking for their 2nd win in a row. Mike O'Brien and Ron Root await the winners of this match. And Bob Buxton starts with a big 9-drop. The team has yet to throw a strike in this match. Last week they had 6 of them.
Just looking at the 6 pin. And he really needs it. Oh no, ooh, to the left.
Make it a 10.
Oh boy.
How about another 9-drop? It always happens after you miss one,
I was
doesn't
just going to say the same thing. In fact, we had a running joke in the league. If you miss a single, I said, well, here comes another spare leave because I'm going to drop 8 or 9 on this because it's going to make me feel that much worse about missing it. and it does.
Spare number 10 for the team of Buxton and McKinley.
It keeps their hope alive. Phil Clough is going to try to do something to put a little damper on that, though. Opposite of open frame in the 7th.
Well, this wood in the back makes this a little more interesting because ordinarily you'd be worried about the 8-pin. The 4 horsemen, let's see. Yes!
Oh, you called it. If nothing else, it kept the ball in play. I think the ball actually clears out the 8-pin off the piece of wood. Yep.
Exactly. Wouldn't have gone otherwise.
Ooh, he left it short. Well, it's 4.
Again, there is wood here that could be a factor. No, missed the head pin. $10 for Phil. So, down to the final 2. It's 95 plus a ball there in the 8th. As Brian McKinley will come up and fill it. The lead is 29 less whatever he puts on this mark. He really needs a 9 or a strike. And he'll... Oh, wow. Do you believe that?
Wow.
Not only does he not get the 4-pin, but he's left with the 4-10.
Well, he's still a makeable spare because of the wood in between, but it certainly looked like he was going to have a 9-drop and just a 10-pin left.
Oh, what a great
Nice
shot that is. That's a great shot. Question is, what more do they have to do now to try and make this close? Nice spare there using the wood effectively.
He's still got to think 8, 9, strike. Definitely another spare.
7 fill. That's 120 in the 9th. I don't believe they can... Oh, how about that shot? the ball again.
Watch the ball come in contact with a piece of wood and kind of like a cue shot, keeps it in play, and good thing because it wouldn't have carried the 6-pin. Well, he's just going to throw a big ball. Of course, he'd like to strike, but he's get as many as he can and see what happens.
Clough and O'Brien will not have to mark in order to win. It'll be a 6 drop and a 136 for the team. So Buxton and McKinley, after a 408 last week, throw a 362 this week with no strikes. And all Tom O'Brien has to do is get 13 pins in 2 boxes. A 103 in this game will do it.
You look back on the especially this last game, Bob and Brian had 6 marks, and the fills were 6, 9, 3, 8, 7, and 6.
Three pins will do it for Tom O'Brien. Keeps it safely on, and that'll do it. So the team of Clough and O'Brien will move on to face Mike O'Brien and Ron Root next week. And Tom finishes it off with a spare. The ball to come. Tom and Mike, by the way, not related. Tom from Natick, as we've said, and Mike O'Brien is from Biddeford, Maine. Quite a mileage spread there for those two guys. And strike on spare in the 10th to polish it off. A 120 for the team and a 3-string total 380. So the final count, 380 for Clough and O'Brien, 362 for Buxton and McKinley, and we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to Stars and Strikes Doubles, and we're going to chat with Brian McKinley and Bob Buxton, our runners-up for this week. After the big 408 last time, the big score just didn't happen again. It seemed like this time, guys, you just weren't able to. First of all, you weren't able to put any marks together, which really was the secret last week.
Yeah, just couldn't get any strikes. A lot of spare leads and missed a few, but no strikes. Big difference.
It's kind of a match where you get behind, and then you have to constantly catch up. And you did make a run at it there in the third game.
Yeah, I feel that one of the keys was when I missed those 2 singles in the second string, and we started coming back, but just couldn't string anything together, like you said. The strikes wasn't falling for us. And
well, again, though, big performance last week, and we give you 4th place prize money, share $200, and we'll have the plaques for you too from the N&R Trophy Company of Winchendon. And thanks for both coming. We're seeing you a lot lately, it seems, so hopefully you'll be back again soon. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right, Brian McKinley and Bob Buxton, our runners-up. And now let's chat with the victors, shall we? Tom O'Brien and Phil Clough. We'll have them come on up. They're going to be looking for, they're fighting for who's going to stay farthest away from me. Congratulations, Phil. And Tom, congratulations to you. You just were able to put things together and get what you needed. You had a couple of little mini explosions there, putting marks together, and that was good enough.
Yeah, Tom bowled real well. He's a big guy. He's got big shoulders.
Well, now, wait a second. You're being modest because you had a nice little run there, too, yourself.
Well, I got a few marks, but I didn't bowl it very well.
Well, I know, Tom, we were joking about the fact that you've been becoming a regular here on doubles, so you got 1 win. Now you need to get 2 more.
Yeah, definitely. 2 more. 3rd time's a charm, I hope. You know, I told Danny last time I was on the show, we were joking with Danny, and he says, "Yeah, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it." I says, "I'm going all the way up to Meredith, New Hampshire, and I'm going to make the show. I'm going to try out, and I'm hopefully getting the top 10 and make it." And, I mean, when I got the phone call to see who I was partnering with, I said, "Oh, great. I've bowled with Phil before, and Phil's a dynamite bowler." Just, you know, it was like a team effort today. Nobody bowled well. I got a couple of marks, but I missed a lot of marks. And, you know, Brian and Bobby, they started making a comeback on us, and I said, "Oh wow, the way I was bowling, I figured they're gonna beat us in the last string."
Well, you guys both had to make a long drive to get here. So far, it's been worthwhile. So we're going to have you come back next week and face Mike O'Brien and Ron Root. How does that sound?
Okay, we'll be here.
All right, congratulations again, guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Congratulations. Let's take a look at the ladder now and see exactly what will be happening the next 2 weeks. It'll be semifinal Sunday, of course, next week here on Stars and Strikes, both on the mixed doubles at noon and here on men's doubles at 1. It'll be the team of Phil Clough and Tom O'Brien against the number 2 seeded team of Mike O'Brien, no relation, and Ron Root.
Next week's winner will be O'Brien.
That's right.
Yes, there'll be an O'Brien on the winning team next week. Should be an interesting matchup. We haven't seen Mike O'Brien in quite a few years.
All right, let's invite you back then at 12 noon next Sunday here at Park Place Lanes for 2 hours of Candlepin bowling on Stars and Strikes, of course, and then here on doubles. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, so long from Park Place Lanes.